Hey everyone, hold on, I'm just trying to get set up so you guys can see what I'm doing over here. Without you guys just seeing pretty much just my bum. I think that should work okay. Maybe like that. Alright, so hey everyone. So we were talking a lot I have a group going right now, and we were talking a lot about comfort foods and things that we like, and it'll probably cut off my head a lot, but you guys know who I am, so you don't necessarily have to see me all the time. But we were talking in one of my groups about the different, sorry, I'm trying out a different couple things here. So that should be okay. Alright, so we were talking about comfort foods in one of the groups, and I know for myself, I am very much an emotional eater. And that's pretty much what I do, is I am totally an emotional person, and when I'm having a bad day or whatever, and I'm trying to train myself not to do this and to do things like go for a workout or go for a walk or do something with the dog who's whining. But I've learned that really food is one of my comfort things, so if I can make it a healthier version of the food that I enjoy, then it's helpful for pretty much everybody. So tonight we're going to have, excuse you, sorry, tonight we're going to be making, sorry, mac and cheese, sorry, and it's got chicken and broccoli in it, and it's from the Fix It cookbook. If you guys aren't familiar with that, you can message me and ask me for more information, and I'd be more than happy to share. It's one of my favorites. This is the recipe here. This is what it looks like afterwards. I don't know if mine will come out looking like that, but we're going to try. So in this pan I have organic butter melting, and the instructions are to whisk in some whole wheat unbleached flour. So we're going to mix it in, and it says to mix it, and I'm breaking the cardinal rule, or the rule my dad said. I don't know if that's the cardinal rule or just the rule that he always said, but never to use metal on your pans. But it tells me in my instructions to whisk it, so I'm going to whisk it. And you want to whisk it until it's brown, but you don't want to burn it. So just pour the rest of that in there. And I'm just whisking it together. And then it says to pour in almond milk. So I use the unsweetened Silk almond milk. And you can find that at the store. So this is 2 cups, and then I need 1 more cup. So it says just slowly whisk it in. So I'll pour a little. I am not a cooker who can multitask very well. So I pour a little and then I whisk. You can pour as much at a time that you want to. And it says you want to whisk it until there's no more lumps. So I've got quite a few lumps in here, so I'm going to pour some more in. And I'm doubling the recipe because the way that the way that I cook, because Dean doesn't do much of the cooking around here, is I cook enough for 2 nights. So that when I'm done cooking after one night, it's not as many dishes, and there's not as much work that I have to do when I get home from work. So, mixing that in. And you want to mix it constantly until there's no more lumps, and you want it to thicken some. So now I'm just kind of, it says 1 to 2 minutes. So while I do that, I need to get the rest of the almond milk. this is the almond milk that I use. And I also use this for my shakes. We use it a little bit for cereal. Dean's not a huge fan of it because he doesn't understand how you can milk an almond. And that's just not a battle I will fight. So I use it, and then I buy him some regular 2% or skim milk. So mixing that up a little bit. It says to let it stir constantly. So we're going to give it a minute or two and see what happens. In the meantime, I'm going to drain the pasta. I couldn't find any macaroni noodles, so we're using rotini noodles because that's all we had. And sometimes it's hit or miss at the grocery store because I find that living out here, we don't have as many options as far as whole wheat. So I take what I can get when I go to the grocery store. And for me today, that was the whole wheat rotini. So I have that sitting, and I'm making sure there's no clumps in the milk mixture. And in the milk mixture, I also had the whole wheat flour and then, like I said, the butter. And just stir it around. If you find that it's not getting thicker, then you can add a little bit more flour to it. Which I might add just a little bit more flour. Just because it doesn't look very thick to me right now. So, hold on 1 second. And I use the King Arthur flour, which I find is the best. Or I think it's the best. I don't know if it is or not. So, mix that up. You want to mix it up until it thickens. But like I was saying earlier, I'm an emotional eater, so I've tried to find healthier versions of the stuff that I find comfort in. So for me, that's macaroni. What else? Lasagna. Anything pretty much really heavy are things that I find comfort in, so I try to either steer away from them or try and find healthier versions. And this Fix8 cookbooks helps a lot because I find recipes for like chili, lasagna, just healthier versions of all of those things that I find delicious, and probably you too. And you can also substitute, like if you don't want to use almond milk, you can use the skim milk or the low-fat milk. And you can also do, if you want to do something along the lines of a gluten-free, you can use gluten-free or rice pasta for this too. So there's definitely a bunch of varieties for you. So that looks like it's thickened up a little bit. So I'm going to throw it on to low. And then, yeah, so the one thing that you should not be doing, but I'm breaking the rules on because I couldn't find any at our grocery stores, we couldn't find any blocks of cheese. So typically I stay away from shredded cheese just because of the fact that it's got preservatives in it to keep it from clumping when it's shredded. But like I said, I couldn't find any in the grocery store. So, or I couldn't find any blocks of cheese in order to make it when I stopped by the Food Lion. So this is what we're using. And since I doubled the recipe, I used 3 cups, which is a bag and a half, but you can also use a block and a half, and therefore it's going to be a better option for you. And you don't have to worry about the extra preservatives, and then it's actually more of a clean meal for you. So you want to stir this, just checking the temperature of it. So you want to stir until the cheese melts. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit because I'm here to watch it, so it's okay if we turn it up a little bit. And in there I have some more chicken. Why I make this, but I'm going to use rotisserie chicken to throw in here. So you want to stir constantly. Rotisserie chicken's awesome in order to get that because it serves a couple different meals for us and a couple different purposes. So for us last night we had roasted potatoes and rotisserie chicken and green beans. And then tonight I'll use the rest of the rotisserie chicken to throw in here. And then for tomorrow for lunch I'll have chicken along with probably a serving of this because I like to eat my carbs earlier in the day most of the time. But sometimes I can't help myself and really want carbs at dinner time, which isn't a bad thing as long as you haven't carb overloaded all day. So waiting for this to melt. Like I said, and you can turn it up a little bit as long as you're here watching it because you don't want it to get crazy and burn. So once it's all melted, then you want to add the chicken and the broccoli. I'm going to go ahead and add the salt and pepper now, just because it's easier. I use the grinders and I don't really measure it out, I just kind of wing it. And you can add whatever flavors to this if you want a different kind of, you want a Southwestern mac and cheese, you can add some Chipotle seasoning, you can add whatever you want. We stick to the typical salt and pepper in this house, unless it's on our chicken or whatnot. Like the chicken I have in the oven right now has garlic seasoning and salt, pepper, and a little bit of cayenne, just for a little bit of kick. So you can see it's starting to melt a little bit, but it's got a lot more melting to do before we're done. And it's getting stuck up in the whisk, but that's alright. So whisking it until it starts to melt all together. To be honest, this is not something that I make quite often. We don't typically eat a lot of mac and cheese around here.